Hi, I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for joining us on another edition of Jamaica Magazine. On the show today, we're discussing the Jamaica Venture Capital Program. Issues and Answers spotlights how this monetary funding initiative can improve our finances. And because we know it's important to you, we keep talking finance with a look at the country's economic reform program. Plus, a reflection on the life of the great parliamentarian, the late Roger Clark. There's so much to learn and know in today's show. Please stay with us.
When using an automated banking machine ABM, ensure the machine is in a location you are comfortable with, and when you enter, be sure to close the door. Examine the machine before you insert your debit card, and never enter your card if the machine has a suspicious device attached to it. More important, don't allow strangers to assist you in conducting a transaction. And remember, treat your debit card like cash. Keep it in a safe place.
The Development Bank of Jamaica is spearheading the Jamaica Venture Capital Program. On Tuesday, September 9, DBJ will host its second annual Venture Capital Conference. Today, Project Coordinator Audrey Richards is in studio explaining more about the impact this could have on your financial stability. Watch this.
Thanks for joining us for Issues and Answers. I'm Ian Boyne. Today we talk about venture capital. We'll explain to you what that is. We have with us Audrey Richards, who is the project coordinator of the Jamaica Venture Capital Program, which operates out of the Development Bank of Jamaica. We thank you for your company. Ms. Richards, good to have you on the show. We know we have an important conference coming up. But before we touch on that, explain to us, what is venture capital?
Well,
in simple terms.
Well, first, thanks for having me, and I'm glad you asked me to explain, because a lot of people hear venture capital and don't quite understand what it entails. Venture capital is really financial capital that is invested in startups and growing companies. And really, what makes venture capital different from other sources of capital is that a venture capital investor, whether it's through angel investing or through a venture capital fund, the venture capital investor provides not just capital, but they provide what you call smart capital and patient capital. Smart capital in that they, along with the financial capital, they're providing expertise, advice. They work closely with the entrepreneur in the growth and development of the business. And patient capital, they work, their objectives are aligned with the objectives of the business. So if there is need for growth in a business, it's not like a debt financing transaction where you'll have to be committed to paying back fixed amounts even at a point in time when the company is not ready to be, putting out cash flow.
Yes.
The venture capital is aligned with the interests of the company, and they'll wait on their returns.
Yes.
They will work along with the entrepreneur, grow the business, and take their returns at a point in time later on the road, when the entrepreneur's business can actually give them a return on their investment.
So that's a desirable route for financing one's business. One would therefore assume that a lot of people will be going for venture capital facilities.
Yes, it is something that's
it's a high demand area.
It is something that a lot of a lot of entrepreneurs have recognized that they need. But as I said, it's not just about the capital. The entrepreneurs themselves are businesses that are looking for investment. So they have to be investment ready in order to attract the capital to their business. So it's not just about wanting the investment, but about packaging your business to be attractive to an investor.
Yes, yeah. And how would the Jamaica Venture Capital Program prepare companies to be ready?
Well, we have several components to the program. The program is really about developing what we call the venture capital ecosystem, which is really the environment for venture capital. because it's not just about mobilizing capital and trying to put it into entrepreneurs. If the entrepreneurs are not ready, as I said, then you won't be able to successfully deploy those funds. And that is a route that we have gone previously in the last 2 decades, when we've had stops and starts in trying to mobilize. It's just putting money in there, but in a market, in an environment that's not ready. So we have a multifaceted program. Part of it is entrepreneurship. How are we going to work with the entrepreneurs, help them to build capacity, train them, mentor them, and coach them in being able to package their businesses and be able to make their pitch to investors. That's one. Another aspect of it is knowledge building. The fact of the matter is that everybody needs to understand what venture capital investing is all about, from the investors themselves to the entrepreneurs. And when I say investors, venture capitalists tend to invest through funds, and those to capitalize those funds, they look to investors, whether it's institutional investors, corporates. In the U.S., a large part of the venture capital investment actually comes through pension funds.
Yes, that's right.
So pension fund managers, pension fund trustees need to understand, if a venture capitalist comes to them to raise funds, what is it that this is all about? What is their expectation, and in terms of return, what is the reality in terms of how does venture capital differ from, say, investing in a listed company? Venture capital really is a subset of what you call private equity.
Yes.
So it's different from public equity, which you see in the companies on the stock
That's
market.
interesting. So how is the DBJ involved? Because the DBJ is a public entity. So normally venture capital facilities are private entities, certainly
equity.
in the West. So the DBJ's involvement in that.
The DBJ's involvement through the venture capital program, as I said, is developing the ecosystem, getting all the stakeholders ready to actually undertake transactions. So we're acting as a catalyst
Like a
to bring
facilitator.
all the stakeholders to a point where they're actually ready for making these transactions. So part of the program too is looking at the legal and regulatory framework, because if you don't have a legal and regulatory framework that is conducive to venture capital, then, as I said, you'll have capital sitting there, you'll have investors on the other side, and the transactions might take place, but not take place in as easy a manner as it would if there is a proper system in place.
We're exploring the area of venture capital today, and we have with us the project coordinator of the Jamaica Venture Capital Program, which operates out of the DBJ. And there's an interesting conference that is coming up soon that she'll be talking to us about, but after this brief break.
Businessmen and women, members of the MSMEs, no longer do you have to visit several government agencies to register a company or business name. Visit the COJ. They are willing and prepared to assist you in filling out the new business registration form, more commonly known as the Super Form.
The overwhelming response from the majority of our customers is, why did this take so long to happen? There are persons who actually waited until January 2nd to come here to do their business because they wanted to avoid going to multiple government departments.
Click on ocrjamaica.com for more details.
Thanks for staying with us. We are speaking to Audrey Richards, who is a project coordinator for the Jamaica Venture Capital Program, operating out of the Development Bank of Jamaica. And there's an exciting conference that is coming up that she'll be talking to us about. And this conference is very much a critical part of the positioning of and marketing of venture capital in Jamaica.
Well, it's really part of our knowledge building activity, because what we're seeking to do is bring stakeholders together along with experts both locally and internationally to really discuss a number of issues as they relate to venture capital, and basically try to bring more people up the curve in understanding venture capital in Jamaica and understanding what the program requirements are, and how they can actually get themselves ready to be part of a venture capital market.
Yes.
So the conference takes place on September 9th.
September 9th.
Right, Tuesday, September 9th, and it's a one-day conference.
And that will be at the
Jamaica Conference Center. And our keynote presenter is actually Professor Josh Lerner, who is a professor of investment banking at the Harvard Business School, and he's also in charge of their entrepreneurial management unit.
Okay.
He's well known,
High
well
profile
respected,
man.
high
Yeah.
profile, considered one of the 100 most influential people in venture capital and private equity over the last decade. And he's certainly very much in demand.
Yeah, so he'll be here, and he'll be sharing the wealth of his
He'll be
of his
sharing the wealth of
experience.
his experience. One of the things that we want him to be able to touch on is one of the books that he authored, which actually has a mention of Jamaica in there, A Boulevard of Broken Dreams, which is this
Broken Dreams,
book here.
Yes.
Right.
Good.
And
And Jamaica is mentioned in there.
Jamaica is
Yes.
mentioned in there in terms of, you know, where Jamaica has come versus, say,
So
Singapore.
he knows about us.
He knows about us.
Yes. Yeah.
So we hope to get from him, based on his knowledge, his best practices that he has, the research that he has done across the world. What are some of the things that Jamaica needs to be doing to avoid the pitfalls that some other countries have fallen into, and to be able to really develop a vibrant venture capital industry?
And who are the kinds of people who should be interested in this conference?
Everybody, everybody who's whether you're an entrepreneur, whether
Yes.
you're an investor, whether you're an academic, whether you're a student, whether you're, you know, a lawyer, all the professionals who might get involved in some way in venture capital, accountants.
Would venture capitalists from North America, say, be coming down for the conference, coming to see?
Yes, we do have
where there are
one or two that
potential-
are coming for the conference. There's one that is on one of our panels. We have angel investor expert coming out of Scotland. He's actually going to be facilitating an angel investor workshop. So for some of our accredited investors on the day before the conference. So he'll be part of the panel that will discuss just what it is that investors, entrepreneurs need to do to get themselves ready to be able to pitch to investors. And investors themselves, what are the things that they need to be doing and looking for in you know, investing in venture capital. He also, he'll be sitting on a panel which will be looking at the Caribbean, putting the Caribbean on a venture capital map. Because one of the things that you all always hear about when you talk about venture capital and private equity is the scale that you need to be operating at in terms of funds. When I go to venture capital conferences and you're linking with the United States, or you're linking with Brazil and, you know, the Africas of this world, where these are big countries.
Big countries, yeah.
But Jamaica and the Caribbean, Jamaica and the region, can be a force in the venture capital markets. But it's how we position ourselves. And
so here is another example where our regional strength would be something that we would need to parlay, because as individual countries we are very, very small, insignificant. But together if we mobilize that information, we mobilize things like our Startup Jamaica program, which is looking to attract not just Jamaicans, but other startup entrepreneurs in an accelerator program. If we have more of those incubator programs and help to grow our entrepreneurs, and we replicate that in other countries in the region, then we have, you know, all these entrepreneurs that become ready to be able to, for investors to be able to look at. So it's not just a single initiative, it's really creating a deal flow, a pipeline of entrepreneurs that have been given the support to be able to develop their ideas to a point where they can actually attract capital. And the fact that Jamaica has earned the approval of the International Monetary Fund, has passed several agreements, and that we did so well on the international capital markets, means that there will be natural institutional investor interest in Jamaica?
There is, and as I want to hark back to what I mentioned in terms of an ecosystem, because investors want to be able to invest in an environment that's ready, whether it's a legal, regulatory. When you look on what they call the Latin American Venture Capital Association scorecard, there are a number of criteria on there in terms of what investors look for in a venture capital market and would want to invest. And the government has made some good moves recently, particularly with things like the Insolvency Act, because that's one of the things they look at. How easy is it to do business? What is the legal framework? You know, what is, you know, the ethical framework in which you operate? So these are a number of things that are looked at. So some of them will be addressing through the program, some of them the government is addressing through other initiatives.
Okay. So the conference will form part of this whole promotion of venture capital and Jamaica's venture capital possibilities. So that's again September 9, Tuesday, September 9 at the conference center, an important conference. I think it's the second.
It's the second conference.
Second venture capital conference. So those of you who are interested, contact the GBJ about participation. We thank you for your participation in this program, for your viewership. Next week we'll be back.
Do you want to know more about the Jamaica Logistics Sub-Initiative? What of the proposed transshipment port at Goat Islands? Or the jobs to be provided when the hub is fully implemented? Then sign up for the Logistics 101 training course. This free course is available when groups or organizations make a request.
The Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce website, the Logistics Hub Task Force, and you can register. As long as you have a cohort, we'll take it to you.
Increase your awareness about logistics. Call 968-7116.
The government's economic reform program is reaping positive results, and the plan is to continue the process of economic transformation. In this next feature, details of what's been achieved so far and the plan for the future.
The Jamaican economy is improving, a clear sign that the policies and the programs being implemented by the government under the economic reform program are bearing fruit.
Real gross domestic product in the Jamaican economy grew by an estimated 1.2% in the April to June 2014 quarter, compared with the corresponding quarter of 2013.
This represents the fourth consecutive quarter of growth. For the April to June 2014 quarter, the agriculture and construction sectors expanded, outweighing declines of 0.6% in mining and quarrying and 0.3% in manufacturing. For the services industries, hotel and restaurants, transport, storage and communication, and wholesale and retail trade were the strongest performers. On top of that, the Executive Board of the IMF confirmed that Jamaica was successful in the first 4 tests administered on the year 1 of the program. And recently, an IMF mission to Jamaica indicated that
the program is on track. Overall, policy implementation under the program remains strong. All quantitative performance targets, indicative targets, and structural benchmarks for end June were met.
That information will be passed on to the IMF's Executive Board, which will assess the findings in September, and if they accept the report, Jamaica will get about $71 million more under the program. This positive development has already paved the way for Jamaica to receive an additional $1.7 billion in grant funding from the European Union (EU) to support the sugar industry. It brings total disbursements since January 2014 from the EU to 4.51 billion Jamaican dollars. There have been other pieces of good news for the Jamaican economy. The Statistical Institute of Jamaica Statin reported a 3.3% decrease in the unemployment rate for the month of April. Occupations in the hotels and restaurant services, transport, storage and communication sectors recorded the most growth. And for inflation, the rate at the end of June 2014 stood at 8%, down from 8.8% in June last year. That's despite a 25% increase in bus fares last year and the depreciation of the Jamaican dollar.
Historically, such a combination of shocks would have been enough to send inflation spiraling into double-digit territory. But that did not happen this time. Instead, the environment for inflation has demonstrated what I would like to characterize as an unprecedented resilience.
Another indication that the fiscal policies being pursued by the government through its economic reform program are reaping results.
I think that the positive results we're seeing with the fiscal management, lower inflation, improved employment, and a smaller current account deficit all are pointing in the same direction, and that direction is an economy that is turning, becoming more efficient and producing some growth, and for that we are quite pleased.
On the tax collection side of things, total tax revenues for the April to June 2014 quarter were $1.5 billion more than the $8 billion target, but GCT and corporate taxes underperformed.
I think we have to bear in mind also that we have, over the past 6 months or so, undergone very far-reaching reforms to the structure of the tax regime that in many respects this still has to work through the system as a whole.
Since January, Tax Administration Jamaica has introduced a number of initiatives as part of the tax reform program, like the mandatory electronic filing of tax returns for some categories of taxpayers, as well as changes to the GCT structure for public sector organizations. Jamaica's net international reserves stood at approximately $2.1 billion at the end of July, reflecting the $800 million the government received through a bond on the international capital markets. The primary balance at the end of June was $18.5 billion, $3 billion more than targeted. So since government's economic reform program is reaping positive results, the plan is to continue the process of economic transformation.
The path we're on is the right path, that we need to focus on it, continue to pay attention to the most vulnerable. But if we shrink from taking the steps we need to take going forward, we will have, in a sense, wasted the effort and the sacrifice that has been contributed by the stakeholders over the last 2 years. The recovery is projected to continue over the next 4 quarters, despite some slowing in the September quarter due to the impact of the drought on agricultural production. The outlook for growth in the full fiscal year 2014-15 remains within the original projections of 1 to 2%.
More emphasis will also be placed on growth, increasing investor confidence and creating jobs.
The government of Jamaica is committed to continuing the extensive program of reforms of tax and public sector financial management, of the public sector modernization, of labor market reforms, all of which are important elements of the program going forward.
On Thursday, the nation's Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries, Roger Clark, passed away. The parliamentarian had given more than 28 years of service to the country, dedicating much of his effort to safeguarding the country's food security. Next, tributes to the life and work of Minister Clark.
Apart from the direct economic contribution, agriculture is the bedrock of rural life, contributing to social stability and arresting the rural-urban drift. So the real contribution of agriculture to GDP is therefore much greater than the 6.7% being recorded. It would be unwise for any government to ignore this critical sector in its strategic national development and growth program.
Ting-a-ling-a-ling, it's back to school again. Yes, your free paper one. But now you've been blessed with new gears, books, shoes, uniform, and other items to outfit you for school tomorrow morning. As you go off, please bear in mind that these new items are not just for show. Your parents have worked hard to provide you with these necessities to achieve your fullest potential. Nelson Mandela said, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world." As in most cases, Mr. Mandela was and still is right. Learn the best you can so you can create the change you want to see in Jamaica. To parents, support them. Remember to meet their teachers and exchange telephone numbers. To teachers, be of an open mind and pray for wisdom to positively mold the minds you've been entrusted with. Sleep well tonight, and all the best to parents, students, and teachers as the new academic year begins. To the nation's students, we give you this thought. All our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. That quote is from cartoonist Walt Disney, who certainly pursued his dreams. We hope you enjoyed today's program and found the information useful. If you'd like more details on the topics explored and matters relating to the beginning of the new school year, visit our website, jis.gov.jm. Also, if you have a Twitter account, follow us at JIS News. And for your comments or suggestions, drop us a line at jamaicamagazine@jis.gov.jm. On behalf of the team here at the JIS, I'm Theodore Henry. Have a wonderful day.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.